Well, hello, and welcome to the Econobox Garage, episode 70, as we continue with our Bugeye build. In this episode, I'm going to tie up some loose ends, have a little bit of a book review, and also get back to work on some bodywork. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy this week's video. I'm going to start this episode with a quick review of Frogeye Sprite, The Complete Story, written by John Baggott, a longtime Sprite owner and enthusiast, with a foreword by Brian Bick Healy, the youngest son of Donald Healy. First published in 2013, this comprehensive look at the Frogeye, or Bugeye if you're on the west side of the Atlantic, has photos and illustrations on almost every one of its more than 200 pages. Its 9 chapters start with the Mark I Sprite's heritage and development, and ends with a look at the clubs and specialists that have come to be over the years. In between, you'll find info on the Speedwell GT and the Frogeye's rally and racing history. The closing pages provide an extensive bibliography and index. And to quote the inside flyleaf, the book is a mine of information about this simply designed British sports car that continues to be held in high esteem 64 years after it was launched. It's available on Amazon, and I'll put links to both the US and Canadian sites in the description below. So one of the last things I have to do on the gearbox is to switch out this front cover. If you recall in an earlier video, I explained that this gearbox was originally in a left-hand drive Morris Minor, and as such, the clutch actuator fork comes in from this side. On a left-hand drive Bugeye, it has to come in from this side, because that's where the slave cylinder is mounted. That's the front cover for the Morris Minor, and this is the front cover for the Bugeye. You can see the pivot point for the clutch fork is on the opposite side. Just a matter of unbolting everything there, putting a new gasket in, and bolting the new piece into place. So to give myself a little bit of leverage to pop this cover off, I just put the bolt for the clutch fork back in and just use a long screwdriver, and hopefully that'll just pop off. So there we have the old front cover off and the mating surface all cleaned up. Now I'll get the new cover ready to put on. Well, here we have the clutch fork, the new one that I got, or the replacement one. And you notice that this bushing in here looks a little perished. I will order a replacement for that. And once I have that bushing replaced, I can get the fork installed into the transmission. Now, one of the things I have to do with the steering rack is get the outer tie rod ends back in approximately where they came off. Now I realize I've changed the steering arms and all that, but it'll give me a good starting point. When I took it apart, I made note of a couple of dimensions here to help me put it back together in the same spot. You'll see here I've got the left ball joint from the face of the nut to the lip of recess, excuse my spelling, at 17/32. So that dimension is from the face of the nut to the edge of the recess. So I'm going to check that put that into that spot. I'll do the same for the other side. I think that dimension was 1/2 inch. So that way it gives me a pretty good starting point for getting the car on the road. So I'm waiting for a bunch of parts for mechanical, for putting the front suspension on, putting the steering rack back on, and a few other things. So I thought I'd get back to some bodywork, particularly on the bottom edge of the bonnet here. You can see there's a couple crease here, here, a little bit of work to come out here, and a couple of creases on this side. Now to help with that, I just had a good score at a garage sale today. Just found a pretty basic set of auto body tools here with some 3 hammers and 4 dollies. So I'm going to get to work with these and see where we end up. Well, after 3 or 4 hours of fettling and hammer and dolly work, I've got this way better than it was when I started. I think I still have some work to do. I'm particularly pleased how this spot here has turned out. Part of the issue I have is it looks like this entire box has been bent back a little bit. But I really don't want to go to all the trouble of removing all of that. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And to be honest, as I've said earlier, I'm not overly worried about how this looks. Partly because, again, I'm not doing a concourse restoration. I'm doing more of a recommissioning, I think is a term I just heard lately and quite like. Or I'm going to a front hinge on the bonnet. So all of this will get, even when the bonnet's up, you won't hardly be able to see all of this underneath here anyway. So still some work to do over on this side. But generally, I'm very happy with how that's turned out. Now that's all I have time for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to share it with your friends. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that little bell icon so you'll get notified when the next video comes out. My name is Ian. This is the Econobox Garage. We'll see you next time.